Good evening, Braves fans. Welcome to Chop House Chatter. I'm Jackson.
And I'm Thomas. Welcome to the show.
Lot to talk about. We've been on hiatus for a little bit. We've been a little busy, but the Braves coming out of the All-Star break, still in first place in the division, even though they haven't been playing very well.
Some kind of way we've actually gained because we were 9.5 games up before All-Star break, and we're 10.5 up right now, even though we've had one of the worst records since the All-Star break. How was that?
I don't know. As of recording on Tuesday, August, what is it saying, the 9th, 8th?
Eighth.
Tuesday, August 8th. The Braves are 30 games over 500. That probably has something to do with it.
Yeah.
Um, and that's just kind of been how it is. The starting pitching's what's really struggled, and that's where the Braves have struggled.
Mhm.
So let's talk a little bit about that. Are you concerned about the starting pitching, Thomas? The
I
way
am
it's going?
extremely concerned about starting pitching. I want to lean in and be as confident with Max Fried with him having that extremely good start that he had this past weekend. That was his first major league start since the injury, but he's gonna have a regression. I mean, he almost pitched to Maddox if they had let him go further than what is the sixth inning, seventh inning with 72 pitches.
Yeah, he threw 6 innings on 72 pitches or something crazy.
It was rolling. So I want to lean on him to be our ace, but I I I don't know. I don't know. How do you feel about it?
I feel confident with Freed. I think Strider's in another little rough patch.
Mm-hmm.
I think you know Monday night against Pittsburgh, you just didn't have his best stuff.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter how hard you throw. If you throw it right down the middle and you walk batters, you're going to get knocked around in the major leagues. But I feel confident with Strider as a two. And then Bryce Elder's another one of those guys, depending on the night. I think in Chicago, the bad weather definitely impacted a sinker ball pitcher, a ground ball pitcher a little bit.
So
So
you can't use that same excuse for the past four starts he's had, though. He's been
uh,
rough since the one start before All Star break. He's been rough since then.
he had a couple good starts in a row. I think his last start was like his first rough start in like three starts.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm inclined to trust him in the playoffs as like a three starter. But,
Hmm.
it's kind of pick your poison because Uncle Charlie's either a 7 inning masterpiece or 5 innings, 5 runs. So that's what we're debating today. It's you know who do we trust in this rotation to get innings? Who do we go to for innings? Because Yadi Chirinos didn't pitch very well tonight.
Yeah.
So where do you think we should turn, Thomas? If you were in charge of the Braves for one day, who would you call up?
I'm gonna. Oof. So are we talking about like right now, just see who's like auditioning for the postseason? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah,
If we're talking about auditioning for the postseason, I gotta say it's a three-headed monster between Jared Schuster, Michael Soroka, and AJ Smith Shawver.
all right.
Do you have
I
any objections to that?
I don't. I think Smith Shawver pitched great the last time he was up in the big leagues. Solid 5 innings. I think he's a guy that the Braves, with Yanni Chirino struggling the way he is, I think you got to try something new.
Yeah.
My heart says Soroka, but my brain says, throw Smith Shawver out there. How bad can it be?
I like Soroka in a bullpen though. I like that as an option.
I think he profiles too much like our other righties in the bullpen. He's
Mhm.
kind of a pitch to contact kind of guy.
Got it.
I think Smith Shawver would be a better bullpen guy because he can dial up that 97. He can maybe put on a 90, 98, 99 out of the pen. But
Is Smith Shawver like a baby Strider? Is that what we're looking at?
that's how I'd look at it. Maybe a multi-inning weapon
Yeah.
out of the bullpen. So if your starter gets in trouble early, you don't have to immediately go to Michael Tonkin or Colin McHugh.
So
Kind of have
I like
a
that
third
as an
weapon.
option. Bringing a Smith Shawver as like pitcher couldn't get through the fifth inning, let him get you to the seventh, and then you can go to your bullpen from there. Is that a good option?
Yeah, and even with all the injuries, Joe Jimenez has been really good over the last 3-4 weeks.
Hmm.
Kirby Yates has been a lot better. So, we're just kind of sitting around waiting for Dylan Lee to get back. Minter's back. So, when Dylan Lee gets back and hopefully Nick Anderson comes back before the
Hmm.
playoffs, I think the back end of the bullpen will kind of fix itself. I don't think there's as much of a brush on the bullpen, but yeah, this rotation, they need to figure something out because, you can't have Fried and Strider, you know,
I mean,
go out
maybe
there
they
and
throw a complete game every time they're out there. Who knows?
ah, Strider recently needs to get through the seventh inning.
Yeah.
So he's been struggling with that. So you got to find innings. I mean, you got a 10.5 game lead. You know,
Hmm.
if you lose tonight, it'll be like 9.5 games,
Yeah.
9 games. Still a comfortable lead, but you still got to take it seriously because it's baseball.
Yeah. So let's run through these starters real quick, and then we are going to go through and choose our fantasy perfect world postseason rotation. Okay. And
All
there are
right.
15 total pitchers that have had a start so far this season for the Braves. We're only going to look at the top 11. We're not going to look at 12 through 15. Those were just bullpen starts. So I'll start at 12. We'll just alternate going like that. Okay. So yeah, I'll start at 11.
All right.
So we have tonight's starter, Chirinos. He has had a record of 1-0, 7.27 ERA. He started 2 games. It's been rough for him. So definitely don't want to throw my trust in Chirinos.
I don't think so. I think, a couple of years ago, he had a couple extra miles an hour on that sinker, gave him extra zip.
Yeah.
And now I just think 92, unless you can really locate that, it's not great. So Chirinos is out of the playoff rotation, out of the bullpen too.
All right.
For me, he's not going to be on the roster at all. So
Who you got next?
Dylan Dodd. I mean, he's thrown 5 games. He's one of those mixed results guys. Either he's pretty good. His first start of the season was good, and then he had a bad start, and then I think he had 2 bad starts in a row, and a good start and another bad start.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't trust him in a playoff series. I think, down the stretch, if you need him to start a game or two, he's definitely a guy you could look at. But he had a good spring training and
Yeah.
just kind of struggled at the big league level. So hopefully he can figure it out in the minor leagues and maybe be a piece next year. But Dylan Dodd is not a guy I'm going to count on in the playoffs.
All right, another guy I'm not going to count on, Kobe Allard. He started 3 games, 0-1 record, 5.56 ERA. Whew, 11.1 innings in 3 starts. I'm not liking those numbers right there.
Now he got hurt again. I think he tweaked his oblique this time or something like that.
Mm,
Or I think it's his shoulder. He had the oblique earlier this year. I think it's his shoulder, so he might not even come back this year.
yeah,
He was another one of those guys, really Jekyll and Hyde. The Braves lefties outside of Max Reeves seem to, like to be Jekyll and Hyde. Either they're the best pitcher in the world or they suck.
yeah.
But Allard, I don't. Even if he makes it back this year, I don't think he makes the playoff roster. Even though upper management seems to like him,
Hmm.
uh, you know, he's got a good curveball. I will give him that, but I just don't see it.
Okay, so this next list that we're going through, I would consider this all realistic options for us.
Yeah. So
Get started.
Smith Shawver. We talked a little bit about him. I think, he can be that mini Strider. I don't think he'll start a playoff game,
Hmm.
but I think he should be at least on the roster right now because, come out of the bullpen, give you 2-3 innings, throws gas, has a wipeout slider, Strider, mini Strider Jr. So I
Man,
don't know.
especially as a multi inning relief guy, I like that as an option. I don't know if I want him as a starter, but if you have somebody that can pitch upper 90s and go through maybe 2 innings, he's not going to see the full rotation the full lineup more than maybe 1.5 times. I like that as a bullpen option.
Yeah, and he's really been hit kind of hard like the second, late the second, third time around.
Hmm.
So I think he's a better bullpen option, but I don't see him starting a playoff game unless they do one of those weird piggyback starts, where you have Shawver pitch 2 innings and then bring a bulk guy in like Tonkin.
Hmm.
But hopefully that doesn't happen in the playoffs.
All right, up next on the list, we have Mr. Injury. Hopefully, we'll see him in the next couple of weeks. Kyle Wright. He's only started 5 games for us. 0-1 record, 5.79 ERA. What is the injury news with Kyle Wright? Is he good? I know he threw a bullpen for the first time like last week or the week before last.
Yeah, I think he's throwing off a mound now, which
Yeah.
is usually a really good sign for a pitcher. If you're throwing off a mound and you're taking your bullpens like off the mound, uh, I think he'll start simulated hitting this week. So he might be on a rehab assignment in the next week or two. I think they're going to ease him in. He had shoulder problems to start the year, tried to pitch through it.
Yeah.
His shoulder still hurts. He's had shoulder problems in his career. But when Kyle Wright's on, he won 20 games last year, and I know wins are a team stat, but you still got to pitch well enough to be in the game.
Now, I don't want to hit so hard on the 20 wins because he had the most run support out of all of our pitchers last year. So that might have been a reason he got 20 wins last year.
You know what? If the boys score for you, the boys score for you. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay. You got it. You got it. Who we got next?
But you're right. You shouldn't read too much into it. But I'm just saying he sticks around long enough in the game to get the win.
Yeah.
Which for me is the more important stat. So I think Kyle Wright, if healthy, is probably the 3 starter of this playoff rotation.
Okay. Who you got next?
We got good old Michael Soroka, Maple Maddox himself. He hasn't looked himself this year, and I think something really uncharacteristic has been the walks. He's been walking a lot of guys.
Is he still figuring it out, or is this just how he's going to be post-injury?
I think he's still figuring it out. I don't know if you noticed his mechanics are completely different because he can't drive the way he used to because, he tore his Achilles twice.
Yeah.
For those of you who think it's easy to come back from an Achilles injury, it's a miracle the guy's walking.
Yeah.
First of all. So I think, once he gets over that mechanical hiccup, the stuff's there. The sinker's got good movement. The changeup's nasty. The slider's good. I think he needs to be at the major league level right now.
Got it.
I think it's a little silly that they're like, oh, just get him consistent starts at AAA. I think he just needs to go out every 5 days.
Just figure it out.
Just figure it out. And I know it's a confidence thing. They don't want to ruin his confidence, but they just need to tell him, hey, it's okay. Figure it out. We're 30 games over 500. Just go out there and pitch.
All right. Moving on. Top 5 now when it comes to our pitchers so far this season. We got Jared Schuster, 4-2 record, 5 even ERA, 9 starts. He's had 45 innings pitched. I like him as a option, as a number 4 option for us.
Yeah. A lot of the Braves' struggles this year with the starting pitching, especially recently, has been the walks. Schuster just scares me a little bit with the walks. He has a tendency to walk a lot of guys. And if you go back and watch his big innings, it's because he'll walk in a guy or two and then tightrope out of danger. But, if Schuster had to start a playoff game, I'm like 50-50 on it. I don't know about you.
22 walks, 9 starts, 45 innings. I want to see him cut that at least a third off. Let's get him down to 15 walks. Let's get him down to 10 walks in that short time frame.
Yeah, and any walks you can cut are helpful.
Yeah, definitely, so, especially at the big league. You can't walk people in the big league and expect your defense to bail you out every single time.
Yeah, no, we saw it when Strider struggled this year. Well, we'll get to him in a minute, but the walks kill you. The extra guy kills you. Good teams capitalize on the free base runner, no matter how many outs there are. You can't, a 2-out walk turns into a rally real quick with good teams. So I like Schuster as an option. But hopefully the top guys are good to go, and we don't have to think about Jared Schuster starting a playoff game.
All right.
Hopefully. Fingers crossed.
Who you got?
Big Max Fried, the man, the myth, the legend. He's the only guy in this rotation I could say 100%. If he starts a playoff game, I'm 100% confident.
So you're confident right now, even though he's had 1 major league start since the injury?
Yeah, he looked really good. And he didn't look. The Braves had a big inning, and he came back out and he just mowed down the next 3 hitters. And for me, that's the sign of a guy that's healthy, a guy that's locked in.
That's major league right there. You can't kill the momentum that you just had a huge batting inning and then give up another home run or give up 2 runs to the very next at bat. That just kills the momentum for the game.
Yeah, guys that have like that lingering injury, they don't like to sit. They get really fidgety. For me, it was big that Max just kind of just stood back up and did his thing.
Yeah.
Even Max Fried at 80% is probably better than 90% of the pitchers in the league. So
he's the runner-up for Cy Young Award for a reason, right?
Yeah, the man needs to get paid. I don't know if the Braves will pay him, but the man's going to get paid.
Yeah. I
after
would love
next
for
year.
them to bring it back. I would love for it so much.
I'm hoping for an extension this offseason, but we'll see. But he's crucial. If he needs to be healthy for the Braves to succeed in the playoffs, he needs to be healthy. We can't score 10 runs a game, especially in the playoffs. Runs are hard to come by.
All right, moving into the top three, we got Bryce Elder, who's been pretty consistent as like our number 4, number 5 starter this season. He's 8-3, 3.43 ERA. He started 22 games. Whew. 40 walks. What you think? He's been a little rough lately.
Lately, he's been rough. I think an advantage Bryce Elder has over a lot of these pitchers on the list is even though he doesn't strike out a lot of batters, he gets a lot of ground balls. I think he has one of the highest ground ball percentages in the league. So,
Which is good in a perfect world, but with this new rule change with the shifting, that kind of hurts the ground ball pitchers, right?
it does. And I know his peripheral stats don't look good. People hit the ball hard, but if they're hitting the ball hard on the ground and it's within reach of the fielder, it's a guaranteed out.
Yeah,
you hit a ball 100 miles an hour right at the fielder, you're not beating that out.
Yeah.
So I think with Elder, the big thing is the command, the walks. And when he gives up home runs, it's the slider command. So I think he's given up 14 home runs this year in 126 innings, which isn't great. But I trust Bryce to start a playoff game. I think he matches up really well with a lot of, playoff caliber lineups. A lot of teams, they have guys that can hit. They put the ball in play.
Yeah.
And that works to your advantage when you're a sinker baller. As weird as that sounds, you don't need to strike everybody out. You just kind of go out and they get themselves out.
Yeah. All right. Is it on me or on you for next one?
I think it's on me.
Go ahead.
But we got, Charlie Morton, Uncle Charlie.
Uncle Charlie.
Again, I just spoke about it a little early. He's just been really Jekyll and Hyde. Either he looks really, really good, vintage, or he's been really kind of bad. And, struggles again, 58 walks and 123 innings.
Yeah.
Not great. That's a lot of walks. And a lot of it's he hasn't been able to find his fastball command. So this is a guy, Charlie Morton. If we have Fried, Elder, Strider, and Bright healthy for the playoffs, I don't want to see Charlie Morton start a playoff game.
So you want him in the bullpen, or you don't want him on the roster at all, paying him this much?
I think he turns into a bullpen kind of guy.
Yeah.
Where you use him kind of like Luke Jackson, where he kind of just can come out, face 3 to 5 batters, only throwing his breaking ball because his fastball has been really bad this year.
Okay, so kind of just eliminate the fastball altogether. Focus on his jump because he does have very good breaking ball. And you want him to be 2-3 inning type of guy? What do you want?
I think a 3-batter type of guy, middle relief kind of guy. You bring him in. He throws pretty hard, so maybe you can squeeze an extra mile an hour or 2 out of the old arm.
Yeah,
but I think as a starter, his struggles is he gets around to the second time of the order, guys start laying off the curveball, they start seeing it.
Got it.
So I think in the playoffs, he would be a better playoff reliever than the playoff starter, where you can bring him in, and guys just can't touch the breaking ball. They know it's coming, they can't hit it.
Yeah,
kind of how Luke Jackson was in 2021.
Playoff Luke Jackson or regular season Luke Jackson? Because those are completely different people to me.
Regular season Luke Jackson. I know playoff Luke Jackson struggled a bit.
Yeah.
He was good in the World Series, though.
Great in the World Series.
the LCS, we don't talk about.
All right, finally, pitcher that has the most innings for us, Mr. Spencer Strider, Mr. Stash, 12-4 on the season, 3.94 ERA, leading the league, not just nationally, leading the league in strikeouts, 211, fastest pitcher. He beat his own record, right, for 200 strikeouts?
Yeah, by like 7 innings or something like
that. So, obviously, he makes the postseason roster. Do you have him as your number 1 or your number 2, though?
Number 2, all the way. Max Fried's your number 1. And like I said, Max Fried with 80% of it arms, probably somehow still better than Spencer Strider, as blasphemous as that sounds. But Strider's good. And he's been bit by the long ball this year.
Yeah.
18 home runs.
It's usually 1 inning that hits him every single outing. And he's fine the rest of the outing, but 1 inning blows up.
Yeah, he'll walk a batter. A guy will get a little weak contact thing, and then someone will hit a 3-run home run.
Yeah.
And then, it spirals. And I think in playoff baseball, he might play a little bit better.
Yeah.
To where, because you have your bullpen available to you, he can kind of just empty the tank through 5 or 6 innings
Yeah.
and not have to worry about trying to stretch it out. I think he's under a lot of pressure right now to be the ace. And, everyone feels like, at least social media feels like he should be going 7, 8 innings, like complete game, like he's the second coming of Nolan Ryan. But I think in a playoff setting where you can kind of control how many times through the order you go because you have, kind of a bigger bullpen, I think Strider is going to be very good slotted behind Max Fried.
All right, so that's your top 2. Who do you have for 3 and 4 starters for the postseason rotation?
I think we go Kyle Wright and then Bryce Elder.
Interesting. So I did have Charlie Morton in mind, and I actually flip-flopped it. I had Spencer Strider 1, Max Fried 2. I threw Charlie Morton in there 3, and I had a combination of either Bryce Elder, Kyle Wright, or Jared Schuster as my 4. And whoever doesn't make 4 goes to the bullpen.
I think that's a perfectly acceptable one too. Yours is probably more realistic because management will probably give Charlie Morton a playoff start because of the experience.
Yeah,
because he is nails in the playoffs. I'll give him that.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
I mean, homeboy was pitching on a broken leg for us, right?
that he got the last out of the 2017 World Series too. Pitched like the last 3 innings of Game 7 there. So I mean, he's got the resume, the repertoire, if you will.
All right, finally, let's go through if the season ended today. Gonna give you the rundown and tell me who you would rather play. So right now, first seed got Braves, second seed Dodgers, third seed is the Brewers. Then moving into the wild card teams, we have Phillies, Giants, and Reds. So who would you rather? As of right now, it would be the Reds at the Brewers for the wild card series. It would be the Giants at the Phillies for the wild card series.
I think in a perfect world, out of those teams, you face Cincinnati.
In a perfect world. But we don't live in a perfect world.
No.
So do you actually see that happening?
No. I mean, probably face San Francisco or Milwaukee.
Yeah.
San Francisco's kind of a scary team because they're one of those teams where they don't have a superstar.
Mm-hmm.
But that just means everybody on the team is about league average or better because they're just that good. So in the playoffs, you got to deal with a scrappy team where there's not really like a weak spot because all their guys are just pretty good instead of really good.
Yeah.
So San Francisco is definitely a team I want to avoid. I think they could take a series from Cincinnati. It'd be a high scoring one.
I'm going to pick, I would rather play against Philadelphia because they've talked so much noise about making it to the World Series last year. I want to take them out first round.
Ooh,
and that's not the best case scenario. That's just me being a Braves fan, me wanting to shut them up for good. That's all that is. It's not the best scenario to make it to the World Series, but I want to knock them out. I want to be the team to knock them out.
All right. You want that division round to be Atlanta, Philadelphia, San Francisco, LA?
Yes.
Yes. That'd be wild.
I know Bill would really enjoy that.
That would be we'd only get night games.
Honestly, yeah.
Honestly, we'd be on the night games for once.
So. Yeah. No. MLB hates us. We're gonna get 12 o'clock games every single time. Especially with LA being out there. No, we're not gonna get a single primetime game. We're playing at 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock every single day.
You know what? You're probably right because if you look at the American League, we're not going to really talk about the American League, but Boston, New York, and Toronto are in the mix, so those are going to be their darling night games.
Yeah. Why would you ever put the top team in a league in prime time? What makes no sense.
Yeah, don't you know everyone wants to watch Minnesota play Texas?
Yes, totally. That's going to be the primetime game just because.
Because why not?
All right, that is it for us. You got anything else?
No. Hopefully the Braves can just have a good August. Don't need to have a great August. Just have a good August.
good
You
enough
know,
league. We can have a good and just
just
be
have a
even mediocre. I'll take mediocre.
yeah, just set yourself up to have a good September. That's all I'm saying.
There we go. Finish
September.
strong in September. Get hot right for October.
Yep. But in the meantime, always go Braves and chop on. Till next
Hop
time.
on.